Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Ibukun Itimi and I am the host of the Come Check With Us podcast where we talk about all things engineering leadership and career development in tech. So today's episode is very special. I have the privilege of being joined by someone who I've known for a very long time, but I've also gotten to know a lot better recently. I have Tokunbo here with me, who is a DevSecOps lead and also a founder of an amazing community that brings moms together and helps them with their DevOps journey. And today I'm going to be talking to her about her leadership journey, her journey through tech, her journey through sort of building a community to give back and help people grow in tech. And so join me to welcome Tokunbo on today's Contact With Us podcast. And if you're interested in, learning about how you can grow, learning about how somebody else has done it and behind the scenes of their journey, then this episode is just for you. Make sure you're listening and also make sure that you send it to a friend who can also benefit from listening to this episode. So thank you to you who's listening, and thank you especially to Tokunbo for joining me on today's podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Ibukun. It just feels very surreal, actually. Well, thank you for having me, Ibukun. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you're listening for the very first time, hi, my name is Ibukun Itimi. I am host of the Come Check With Us podcast, a career coach and an engineering lead who has been navigating the ups and downs of building a tech career for the past decade. And I'm pretty much here to share all of that with you so that you don't have to learn the hard way, and you can also learn from some of the mistakes and some of my lessons along the way. So to get into today's podcast, let's first of all start with just a brief intro. Tokunbo, tell us about your journey, where you've been, and where you are now.
Okay. Thank you again, Ibukun, for having me. So yeah, of course, my name is Olatokunbo Ogunlade. I currently work as, I wanted to say I currently save. It's actually service. So yeah, my present role is the lead DevSecOps at Awosika, right? And influencer marketing and platform, right, in Nairobi, Kenya. So I work remotely from Lagos, Nigeria. How did I get here? Now they say it's been a super story. But to summarize, I started my journey at Venture Garden Group as a front-end engineer. In fact, I joined as an intern, right? Front-end engineer, and then I was at Venture Garden Group for about 2 to 3 years, yeah. And then while at Venture Garden Group, I kind of pivoted into DevOps. And this was during the pandemic, yeah, when we were working from home. They needed more hands within the DevOps team. And before then, I already started learning about DevOps. DevOps team at Venture Garden at that time was very lean, right? They needed more hands. So they were kind of like bringing people, like other engineers within the different business units to, do some little DevOps stuff, more like troubleshooting deployments and all of that. So I was already doing that, right? And at a point, the DCTO at that time said I should just, I and some other guys, just transition into the core DevOps team because they needed more hands, right? And that was something I was just so happy to do because, this meant more, like I'll learn more, gain more skills, increase my competence and all that. So yeah, I was more than happy. And it was supposed to be like a 2-month thing until they got more hands, and I never had to look back, right? And when the DC asked me that, do I want to continue front, I was like, no, let me just take. Right, so that was it. That was my transition into DevOps, and then I was there for another 1 year plus before I then joined On Top as a DevOps engineer. On Top is More like an HR recruiting firm, kind of, at, but America. So I was working remotely from Nigeria also. And I was with them for like 6 months too. Then I got another offer at Factorial. And with Factorial is based in Barcelona, Spain, still working from Lagos, Nigeria. And I was with them the longest year. So I joined Factorial as a systems engineer. And the
Mm,
difference with what I was doing at Venture Garden Group and on top was at Factorial, there was a layer of database management, right? That I had to add to my DevOps knowledge, right? So I was more like learning on the job and also, of course, applying that knowledge. Very, very interesting. So I worked a lot on database and a lot much more on. In fact, that was my introduction into full-fledged observability. And it was like I was shown into the deep end because there was then I started working a lot more with Datadog, right?
yeah.
Understanding flame graphs, understanding different metrics, and it was super interesting, right? Challenging and interesting. Then I also started working a lot more on Kubernetes orchestration, right? Super interesting. Yeah, so from there I left on top and then I joined Wowzy. I joined Wowzy last year and that was another deep end into engineering leadership, right? And that has been the most interesting part for me. So yeah, in summary, that was how my journey has been, and yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just like smiling because it's so crazy how like similar our journeys are. So my first job was
Mm,
actually I joined as a backend engineer, but then like a year
mm.
in the like, oh, who wants to join the DevOps team? Or I think I was either going to join the DevOps or move to a different product team, and I was like, I don't want to go to product where they'll be stressing my life. I don't know what
Exactly.
infrastructure will
No shade to product managers, actually, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I also, started my DevOps journey at VGG as well, and I just like
Mm,
realized that okay, this is probably where I want to continue to work. And then,
yeah,
hearing you talk about your journey, I think the thing that strikes me is that willingness to learn, the willingness to like
yeah,
be and like dive into the deep end. Because a lot of
yeah.
times, kind of mentioned this on the podcast before, it's like there's not going to be certainty throughout your career journey, and you can't like
No, no.
opportunities to, oh, when they pay me, when they promote me, I will do this.
Mm-hmm,
No,
mm-hmm.
your ability to just say, okay, I'm curious about this, let me get into the role and
Mm-hmm.
see how it goes. I think that that is such
Yeah,
a make big thing, with
yeah,
people's journey through
yeah.
tech or through their careers. I think
Mm-hmm.
one thing that comes with that, and one thing that I've been finding talking to a lot of engineers, is like people don't know how to sort of like just like take the leap and say, okay, if I perish, I
Mm,
but then,
mm,
how do you find the courage, like every time, to be like, okay, so I'm going to take this on, and then it comes with this new layer of observability, or it comes with this new layer of like databases, or just like things
mm.
that you've not done before. But let me just go there and see how it goes.
Hmm. In fact, the truth is, I don't want to sound cliche here, but just to speak from my heart, the truth is, you never get used to it. You actually never get used to it because every time when a new challenge comes, it's usually bigger than the last one. And you'll be like, no, 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 it's not where I'm coming from.
I
This
kind
is
of,
not what I'm used to. Can I do this? Those questions never really leave you. I'm just speaking from my own experiences here. But one thing I've learned, over there, and truly, and then again, I know we'll still go there because of this podcast, but this is something you also helped me to learn. And I was able to also drill down like later last year. I've come to realize that look, at every point in time, three things will determine how well you will thrive. Three things will determine how best you come out of each season.
yeah.
First is your mindset.
Mm,
Second is your motivation. And third is the methodology you're applying. I've realized that for the first thing, which is the mindset, will determine how well you do. Because sometimes when you are in that season where you need to learn something new and pivot into the next, at the end of the day, you'll be the one to call the shots. You'll be the one to say, oh, I can do this, or no, I can't do this. Because if you believe that you can, you are right. If you believe that you can, you are still right, actually. If you believe that, look, everything is figure out, by the end of the day, you will figure it out. But if you believe that, I'm not sure I can do this, you won't be able to figure it out. So
Yeah.
first, your mindset, you need to adopt a everything is possible, a growth mindset, as they say,
Yeah.
where you can do anything. Then the other thing is motivation. See, when people say that, look, I'm in this thing for the money, good. If that's what works for you, amazing. You really need to be true to yourself. To thyself, be true. What motivates you? What keeps you going? What drives you? For me, is that freedom, that ability to live life at my own terms, right?
Yeah.
That ability. Something happened to me very recently, and it was, my daughter and I, and she said something around how, oh, I like what you do, mommy. I like seeing you at home. I like how you walk. I like the things that you do. Although I don't know, why are you not although I used to want you to be an engineer, where you build houses and now, but now I think I like you being a computer engineer. But she doesn't really understand what she's saying. But she was just trying to say that, oh, she likes seeing me. I'm doing things. I don't have to leave the house. I'm present for her. I'm
Yeah.
always available in school, when they need her parents to show up and all that. And at the same time, I'm doing meaningful work. So at the end of the day, what that just told me was, look, whether I like it or not, I'm already influencing this girl. Like, I'm really influencing this girl. And I
Yeah.
see her in front of my laptop. So this time I don't even chase her. I just allow. I just make sure that she doesn't, disrupt anything. So that is a very, very big motivation for me, right? Being able to, my daughter sees me and she's proud of what I'm doing. Yeah, she doesn't fully understand, but she knows that her mother is doing meaningful work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing is another thing is the methodology. I'm a morning person. I like doing a lot of meaningful work around very early in the morning. And so if for example now I'm trying to achieve something and I don't put it around those my productive hours, I don't understand my flow of work and my flow of energy, and maybe I put it sometime later in the afternoon, of course I'll struggle with it for the next week. So at the end of the day, realize that, look, this thing is a science and it's also an art. As
Yeah.
much as you are trying to learn technical things, as much as you are trying to move to the next level, understand that you need to be rightly motivated. Why are you doing this? Understand how to do it, what works for you. Because the truth is, there's no one size that fits everybody. Where I am in my career and what I'm doing, I can only do this much if I have the right tools and I'm doing it the best way that suits me personally. Then the other thing is having the right mindset, understanding that, look, you can actually do anything. Just set your mind to it, believe that you can, and by God's grace, you will. So, yeah, so for me, at every point in time, yes, I might struggle at first, but once I have these three things in place in a matter of days or in a matter of hours, right, I'll settle in and, get,
Yeah.
get it done, right? Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah. I love that. So you said mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You said motivation,
Motivation and
knowledge.
methodology. Yeah.
And the thing that I'm hearing, is just like really understanding yourself, like how you think. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, how you show up, right? Like
Mm,
you appear to be confident if you don't see yourself as like a confident person. And I
mm-hmm.
remember having this conversation before of like, especially when you took on the new role of like, what would make you confident? You said, oh, when like, okay, so if you don't do it, what
Yeah. Eh, oh my god. Oh my god. It was a mind shift. Oh my
yeah.
god. Don't let me get too fast. Let me just allow you. But it was a mind shift. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that ability to kind of see yourself as I'm a learner and like essentially what I here to do is learn and grow. That makes you
Mm.
approach things with the mindset of okay, I've never done this thing before and it probably is going to be
Yeah.
hard.
Mm.
My job is to just like learn and figure out things as you said
Yeah.
like
And you
figure out
figure it out. Mm-hmm.
that's the and then with motivation just like that's the thing that keeps you coming every day like regardless of
Mm.
because I was thinking about this like recently that so people just like go about their day and they don't care about like Kubernetes or Envoy or like all these things that are just like how do those people just like exist on this earth without being like
They have superpowers. Like, there are
about
people like that. They have superpowers.
and
They
so
do.
you have to kind of acknowledge the fact that like we work in an industry that's like kind of complex. You're working with things that are,
Mm,
challenging, that you have to solve every day. And some of these things are
mm.
even things that are new, things that people are just like now talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
figuring out. So why should you sort of like see that as a reflection on yourself rather than on the fact
Mm,
that like I'm in an industry that is hard. And so like my job here is to learn and figure out things on the way. I think
yeah,
that
yeah,
that motivation to like want to solve hard problems is definitely like
yeah.
really aid, in
Mm,
surviving and in thriving in tech. And I
yeah.
like the that you said of just like understanding how you work, right? So it's
Mm,
not much that like there's no one size fits all. Like figure out
yeah,
what works for
exactly.
me. How am I able to show up the best? And then okay,
Mm,
that's how I'm gonna.
applied.
That's basically be successful, and that's how things are going to continue to feel natural to me. Because the moment you
Yeah.
start adapting another person's methodology, that's when things start to like fall apart because you're not doing
Mm,
natural to yourself. You're not doing things that
mm.
are so.
You're being
I
true to yourself. Mm,
I like that way of just like putting those three things side by side. Okay,
yeah.
so I
Okay.
want to get to the leadership part as well, but I think there was something that there's a thread that I'm seeing in your career that I feel like people would be interested in, which is just you've been working out for so many years like remotely and like working
Mm.
with companies in like Barcelona, in Kenya. Like what is sort of your secret to being able to really land these like remote roles? Because I think that that's something that people really want for this, even though like the world is going hybrid or like back to office,
Yeah.
but at least you've been successful so far in like landing these remote roles. So like how, what has worked for you so far?
Hmm. In all honesty, I can't. What has really works for me? I believe, I mean, a major factor has been, yes, I put in the work, to be
Mm,
honest. And I always, I mean, there was a time where I wasn't working at all, right? There was a gap, right? There was a time where I wasn't working like almost a year. And what I did throughout that time was just pour myself into the coding mom. That was
yeah.
when I could really build a community, gather people and do things, right?
Mm,
But honestly, how have I been able to move from company to company to company, right? And still work remotely? Hmm. It's still been community. I really can't tell you that I kind of put myself out there and say, oh, I did a lot of work and I was always posting. I'm happy to announce on LinkedIn that I am that I just wrote, that I just said, I'll be lying.
yeah.
I no, that wasn't it. I do that. I do that because I mean a large part of that is showing up, right? But the truth is, it's been community. People always refer me to the shows, and that's
Mm,
the honest truth. People have always referred me to the shows. In fact, the my role as Venture Guardian Group, first off, it was from a random tweet on. I mean, it was a random post on Twitter. In fact, it was sure. I got to know later that it was that same post that got you your job to. So Shotakila they posted on Twitter about looking for senior female software engineers, blah blah blah, and all that. And I looked at that tweet, I was like, okay, I'm not senior. In fact, I was just learning how to code Python. And I just jumped on this. They cannot come and beat me in my house. And I just like, see, I'm not senior, but I'm a female, and I consider myself a software engineer.
yeah.
I've been learning how to code in Python, blah, blah, blah. If there's any entry level, I just pitched myself and just left
Yeah.
it at this. And he was so gracious enough to respond.
Mm,
And he encouraged me. And of course, I didn't get the role. But he just said, just keep doing what I'm doing. My time will come and all. So I was just encouraged. But the funny thing was that same tweet was what a recruiter from Virtual Guardian Group already
I-
saw and reached out to me, right? 3 weeks after I got my break in tech role at Virtual Guardian Group, right? So that was
wow.
it. And yeah, that was it. But for on top, it was someone that had okay, so they had reached out to someone that reached out to a mutual friend, like to a friend, and she wasn't available for that one. She just, you know, talked about me to this recruiter, and this recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn and like, oh, if I was interested in the role, I said, okay, and that was it. Like a month after I got the role, my role at Factorial, in fact, I went for a networking event. I
Yeah.
didn't really want to go, and I met a couple of guys. There's this particular guy that I spoke with. I know we just gisted. Oh, what do you do? Oh, wow, this is a, and that was it. 2 days after he reached out to me, oh, they need systems engineering. I'm like, oh no, I don't do systems engineering. Like, just apply, right? Just apply. I mean, you already have the background knowledge you need. Okay. Like, I already have the, I mean, I just got here like 4 months ago. Like, just still apply. Okay, so
Yeah.
I apply. And like a month after, I got that role too, and it was better than what I had on top. That at that point, that move was just for the money, to be honest, and because also, and it was also because, I mean, this thing of always wanting to learn more and be more. Because there's another thing about me that I'm always itching to, not like there's something chasing me, but I always want to find a way to differentiate myself, right? I just want to have that added knowledge, that added layer of knowledge that every other DevOps person might not have, right? Just to distinguish me. So when I realized that this role was going to involve observability, was going to involve managing databases, and I'm like, okay, why not? So that was why I moved to Factoria. On top in itself was also an amazing place. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you then my move to my move to now Wowzy, it was also a friend that reached out to me that, oh, she belongs to this data science something community, and someone spoke about looking for a DevSecOps engineer. I'm like, oh, I don't do DevSecOps, it's just DevOps. So like, you will learn this, and you're not the one that that's always saying, show up,
You can learn.
bite more than you can chew. It's better you choke on greatness than to say. I say, hey, okay. Anyway, she just encouraged her, just apply. And I just applied. And I mean, I went through the interview process. And in fact, when I got the offer, I didn't believe. I was like, are you people sure? Are you sure? But then, and here I am. So if you look through my story, you find a pattern. Most of the, I won't say I really saw a role and I just applied. No, it has been people referring me for these different
Yeah.
roles, these different roles. And to be honest, that's how I got the shows, right? So I can't take the glory of, neither can I just say, oh, because I put myself out there. No, that would be
Yeah.
nice. But just being privileged to just have an amazing community of people that look out for me and just refer me to these
Yeah.
shows. But then again, when it's just like you finding yourself in a room, but then it's your competence, it's your competence, actually, your technical skills that will keep you in those rooms. I went through the interview process, right? And just like you, in fact, it was you telling me then at a particular point, by the way, said, Tiki, you did these interviews. It's not as if you went there and said rubbish and they just I just took you in. They must have seen something in you, and it just kind of switched something in my head, just changed my perspective. Look, truly, I have value to offer, right? They just didn't just pick me. So yeah. So that's how
Okay.
I got to shows. Yeah.
All right. I like that. I think the things that I'm hearing from you is like having the people around you that believe in you, and it's such an
Exactly.
underrated thing, because you just think, oh, okay, like I'm just going through life, I'm hustling, but then
Mm,
when you have people that can say, oh, I think that you can do this thing, especially when that like motivation or your mindset is not yet there,
yeah,
I
no,
think
yeah,
that
there,
is going
yeah,
to like be the differentiator between like, oh, I'm going to take this role or I'm not going to take this role. And then
exactly.
I think even just like giving yourself that credit of like, this whole thing stems from me just like actually shooting my shots and saying that, oh, hey, like come and hire
Exactly.
me. Which is so funny because
Yeah.
I also got like, it wasn't Shola's tweet, but it
Mm.
was Celestine's tweet, who was the CTO at
Okay.
KSL, then that
Okay.
posted like a similar thing that they were looking for DevOps engineers, and me
Mm.
as well. I was like, okay, I'm a DevOps engineer. Come on. So I think really just giving yourself that credit of, one, like having that first instance of just like believing yourself to put yourself out there. And
Yeah,
then that
yeah.
triggers like a series of events where
Mm.
people have seen you take that first step of like believing in yourself and like starting this
Mm-hmm.
thing, and then they can sort of continue to support you when you are not
Mm-hmm.
feeling like, okay, I'm up to the task. And then as you
Exactly.
said, like just showing up there, like interviewing is very hard. Like I don't think
Ah,
like
it
like
is
it's
hard.
hard for the people who are like who are like doing the interview, but like for the people who are conducting the interviews, like there's a lot that goes into talking to so many people, deciding
Mm.
profiles, like looking at candidates and figuring out like who is the best fit for this role. So when somebody hires you, don't go there and not believe in yourself. In fact, that's your time to be like, I'm bringing my best to this table.
Yeah, bringing my A
Like,
game.
exactly, because it took a lot usually, for them to be able to that you're the person that we're going to make that offer to. And so, having that conversation earlier of like, why are you doubting yourself? Like when you know that I'm sure like you if you talk to them, you know that there's so many people who applied for this role and like you're the one who was
Yes,
chosen.
yes,
So
yes, yes, yes.
that's the point where like your shoulders are supposed to be very high and be like, okay, now let me actually deliver that value that they saw in me by talking to series of interviews. So I like that. Like even if I know that like the appeal these days is to like be on LinkedIn and talk and share. But it means that like even if you're not that type of person that's like putting yourself out there like for the whole like internet to see, what it sounds to me like is like you should actually be putting yourself out there like on a smaller scale. Like talk to friends, let what you
Yes,
can do,
yes,
so that
yes,
if
yes.
you're not necessarily like shouting for the whole internet, there are people who can vouch for you, people who can refer you, people
Exactly,
who would say, oh, like
exactly.
I believe that this person can do the work. And I think it's so key. Like I'm going to go like a bit like spiritual, because I was reading my Bible this morning and like when Jesus like first came to earth and was like preaching and saying, oh, like I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and all of that, I realized that wait, this guy was marketing himself. Like, man,
Of course, of course, of
who am
course.
I not to speak
Because the
about
people didn't know who he was. The people
yeah,
they didn't understand his mandate. So it was on him to say who he was. It was on him to declare his own. Look, I'm here for you. This is what I can do
yeah,
to you. I mean, if you don't
exactly.
say it, oh, we do it now. They know.
Exactly. So I like that, you're saying that as well, that like it doesn't matter the stage. Like there are times where you have to do it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and put yourself out there. But there are times where it's just talking to a friend, telling them that, oh, I'm in the market, like I'm looking for this role. If you see anything that you think would be fitting, refer me. So I like that, there's that distinction, especially for people who feel a bit less a bit less or a bit more like shy of, okay, I don't necessarily want to be like tooting my horn like, on LinkedIn. So I think this is the point where we talk about like the leadership piece, which I'm very excited about, right? So you said something, the transition to like Wowzy has been like, the most interesting part of your career so far. So like tell me what has, been like the biggest shift that you had to go through going now into like tech leadership?
The biggest shift for me has been mindset shifts. How I mean, of course, my previous roles have been individual. I've been an individual contributor, yes, senior level and all that, but individual contributor. I didn't manage a team. I just led my work, how be it autonomously, right, end to end. But at least I wasn't. When I'm done, I'm done.
You're
When
on
I reach out
computer.
to my line manager, I'm not. Nobody's following me up and down, asking me how far, right? So it was first that mind shift, because I battled a lot with self-doubt, fear, self-doubt. I was always asking myself, am I like, who will listen to me? What do I even have to say, right? Forgetting something that, look, I was already in leadership, right? I was already in leadership because, I mean, I was already leading the coding mom and we are over 600 women. I was already
Wow.
leading those women, but it just didn't, because then it just looks as if, oh, we gist together. Of course, we have sessions where there are technical sessions and all that, but that one didn't feel like engineering leadership in any way. But in a sense, it was, and it still is.
Yeah.
But it took a major mind shift for me. Like it was almost as if a switch just went off on my. But babe, you're already doing this thing. Even this one is even a smaller scale. It's just that, in a sense, there's more at stake, because now you're working on production data, you're working on, production metrics, and a lot lies on your accuracy, you being precise and all that.
Yeah.
But in a way too, you're also working with people's lives and destinies too. And a lot it's just that perspective shift, right?
Yeah.
So to be honest, the biggest shift for me was making that mindset shift, right? And you helped me to understand that, look, as a leader, it's not about being, you actually said it's not about being the smartest in the room, but it's about creating an environment where people that work with you can thrive, right? I had to learn trusting myself,
Yeah.
trusting other people, understanding that it's not about being perfect, right? But just making progress, daily progress, right? Delegate, understand the dynamics of your team, understand who does what's best. And this is not as if you are stratifying them, what's the right word now? Stratifying them on how competent they are. Oh, this one can, oh, this one has a major learning. No, no, no. But understanding how each person works and
Yeah.
how together that dynamic can, push the team forward, right? Because the honest truth is the team is as strong as the weakest link. So
Mm.
everybody has to be carried along. There's no perfectionism anywhere, but the thing is progress over perfection. Yeah. So I needed to understand and appreciate that. I was coming from a place where I owned my code, I owned my projects, I owned everything. But now it's not about owning the code. I need to own the context now. I need to own the whole context. That was so
Yeah.
scary. That was so
Yeah.
scary. But that mindset shift, that change of perception, right, was the biggest shift for me,
Mm.
honestly. My success now is as good as a clean deploy. How that happens, the rest of the whole team. Do you
Yeah.
get? And understanding the dynamics of each person and what each person brings to the team just
Yeah.
makes that team successful. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand? So yeah, for me, it's that mindset, and it still is. It still is. I'm not there yet. I'm still working progress, but by far, I'm 10,000 times better from where I started from. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I really, like what you're saying because I'm hearing like a few things. So when
Mm,
usually like when people want to transition careers, they're usually thinking that, oh, let me start again, right? But then even though
mm,
to leadership, like it's still within the same domain, like there's such like different expectations that it's almost like you're transitioning like from
mm,
one type of career to the other because the
mm-hmm.
things that are of you are so, so, so different, like you said.
Yes,
And
yes,
so
yes, yes.
think that what are my transferable skills, right? So I'm already
Mm,
doing the coding mom. I'm leading like 600 people. Like if
mm-hmm.
I can already 600 people, what's now like a team of what, like 5, 10
I'll be
people?
5 years.
So to like think back to what have I done before, and I feel like I remember
Mm,
like our very first like coaching call very vividly because I
mm-hmm.
know you were saying, oh, in VGG I did thing, and I for people I defined the job criteria, I hired them, I onboarded them, and then you were like, wait, oh, I've done this before.
It was that realization. I was like, wait. I'm not this.
So I think being able to like draw back on your experience of like what are the things that you've done, and I think what's so key with like tech a tech career as well is like people management is not the only like leadership
Mm,
is not the only leadership path. So even in
mm,
your day-to-day role as an IC, like being able to lead a project, being able to like communicate to
yeah,
stakeholders, being able to like
yeah.
support more people on the team, you're already building those leadership skills to where
Of
by the
course.
time get like senior engineer to staff engineer, principal, you
Mm,
are actually leaning on those skills that you've built up. So it's really key to be looking
exactly.
for those things that, oh, how can I own, something? How can I drive
Mm,
something? How can
mm-hmm.
I build up on my ownership, on my leadership skills so that when you get to the point that you actually get the leadership role officially or the title
Yeah,
officially,
yeah.
you can look back as well and say,
Mm.
okay,
I've built the skills over the years. Mm-hmm.
this before. I'm prepared for this. Just a case of how do I build, how do I progress,
Mm-hmm.
on what I've already learned. And as we've
Mm.
said before, a lot of you would learn, on the role. You would learn
Yeah,
by putting
yeah.
yourself in situations and also
Mm-hmm.
seeking that, okay, let me continue to like grow in this skill. It's just like any other
Yeah.
skill.
Mm-hmm.
Skill. If I'm, today going to learn how to like manage Kubernetes or I'm going to learn about observability, then I can also learn how to be a better people manager. I can learn how to
Yes,
be
yes. Yeah.
so
Mm.
there is growth as well. Like you're not coming as a fully baked leader. Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
right. Like even the CEO too is still learning something.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
Yes.
I get that to grow and learn. And I'm saying this to have people not shy away from like leadership opportunities because some people
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I can't do this. How would I do this? But then
Mm.
when you realize that as you said, like you have so much context that you can actually help your team that
Exactly.
you don't have. So when you're thinking
Mm.
that, oh, like, how would I do career development? How would I do performance
Mm.
management? It's because you're not in the rooms that those conversations are being had. It's because you're not like.
Exactly.
But the moment you put yourself in that place, and you hear,
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh, like got promoted, or another manager saying this is how they're managing their team, you start to like
Yeah.
build up, actually help your team to understand,
Exactly.
right, like you said. And I honestly like love the way you put it. It's like you're not just like in charge of the code, like you're in charge of the context. Like that is
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
about leadership. It's not about
Yeah.
your output, it's about okay, what context can help your team actually output even like times, 2, 3, 4, 5, or what you would have done by just code. So
Mm.
the way you put that as well. So I think you've also talked about the role, of coaching as well, in sort of just like getting you over that like mindset shift
Yeah.
for in an IC. And the thing that before we even get to that question, I really want to talk about this a bit, because I think I
Okay.
also didn't even realize like very early in my leadership career that like there's
Mm.
definitely like a lot of stuff that you have to do to shift your mindset as a leader,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm.
all of our engineering careers like are built on what you deliver as an engineer. You write code, you
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
stuff, and then you get to this point where you're in meetings. You're the one that is coordinating the meeting. Sometimes even
Oh
when
God.
I'm coordinating social events, like I don't mind it. I actually like coordinating social events. Like in my
Mm.
personal life, I'm the one who will say, "Oh, like let's do this, let's do that." But then when I'm doing it at work, I'm just like, "What is this?"
What's all this?
But then I know that, like, obviously, that's, for the best friends of my team building and all of that.
Mm.
But then you kind of start to, like, doubt that, like, I used to, write code. Like, I used to solve these like, complex problems. Like, these are very different types of problems that I'm solving. And it was until I got into a room with, like, other, like, leads, and they started
Okay.
asking questions. We had this leadership training at work that I was like, oh, wait, like, I'm not the only one that, is thinking about all these things. And I remember we had that same conversation as well of like, I'm in meetings all day. Like, when am I going to have time to write code? And so, what are some
Why is
of the
my calendar looking like this? What is it? Let me. Oh my God.
so,
Hmm.
what are some of the things that you feel that like being in coaching just like helped you get over like much quicker than if you were sort of figuring it out on your own?
Coaching actually just helped. First of course, like I mentioned, was the perspective, the mindset shifts, and all that. So, what coaching did for me was actually to give me a roadmap, right?
Mm,
It gave me a roadmap where I could kind of have navigate, teach me how to navigate leadership, teach me how
mm,
to navigate my team's dynamics, merge what we're trying to achieve within my team, marry that to the business goals, you know,
yeah,
just a way to, and if I can dare say, I will also add that it also offered to me some level of something I could call like a mirror, because I was
mm,
able to see my blind spots. I was
mm,
able to address that thinking that kind of shrinked me and made me see myself as still being an individual contributor, right?
yeah,
So with coaching, or I'll say what you helped me to realize was, look, kind of like put a mirror in front of me and like, see, it's not like you actually told me that do this, do that. No, you just showed me, kind of mirror. What's that word now? Like, case in point, when we had a discussion about leading my team and hiring and all that, and just helped me realize that, look, you've done this before.
yeah,
Just replicate what you did then. Do you understand?
yeah,
So
mhm,
what coaching did to me was offer me a roadmap, kind of reflect, give me a mirror to reflect my strengths, even my
mm,
blind spots. And my blind spots in this case was holding on to beliefs and patterns and perspective that did not serve me as a leader, but served me as an individual contributor. It helped me to see that, shed it off, and you know, then again, you also mentioned something that I always remember. It's not about, because I was waiting, in a sense, I was like in a waiting season, like I was waiting to be ready. Oh, But this leadership thing just came upon us. I think they just conferred leadership on me, and I didn't think I was ready. And I didn't think I was ready. But you, by telling me that, look, you went through the interview process, they saw something in you, and they
Mm,
offered you this role. See, you have this. You already have what it takes.
yeah.
So please see what others see in you. So yeah. So he offered me a roadmap. He offered me like a mirror to see my blind spots, to see my strengths, to see what others saw in me. Then
Mm,
I also say he also kind of provided, because you also gave me a toolkit, right? Remember, because with coaching you also offered a lot of frameworks, a lot of how I could manage what's it called, stakeholder management, how I could, have that. Because also being someone that I usually don't like having difficult conversations, but as a leader you have that a lot, like a lot. So that toolkit was you, I mean, you gave me that. You gave me that. So I dare to say I won't be the leader I am today, or I won't have that strength of mind. I won't have
mm,
that courage, that temerity to kind of push for what I'm pushing for if I didn't go through that coaching. Because first off, like I said, it was my mind. It was my mind, and that was a major stronghold for me. But by the second, in fact, by the third week, even you were saying, "Oh, okay, this is not you that the conversation we had the first time." My mind had changed. I could see the progress. I was churning out to work at a rate that I was even impressed at what I was doing. I began to see myself that in a way
mm,
that I was really, really impressed at the progress I made and what I was already achieving. So
yeah.
really, so just summarize it, I would say having that coaching experience prepared me to lead, prepared me to
Mm,
see myself as a leader. It just did it for me. If I didn't go through that season, if I didn't go through that period, and trust me, it wasn't it wasn't the easiest. Not
yeah.
because I had a difficult coach, no, but because it was difficult for me to see myself the way you were helping me to see, right? It took a lot, right? I had to, kind of like, after our sessions, a lot of the times I will kind of have my own session, like me to me, kind of like a one-on-one with myself. I'm kind of audit the opposite. That look, it's not as if Ibukun is just telling you this because, oh yes, you paid for a coaching season and session and she just needs to. It's actually the truth. I had to bring myself to a
Mm,
audit session and break down these things. That look, this is what served you as an IC, but
yeah.
now it won't serve you, and it makes sense, right? So yeah, it wasn't the sweetest time for me, but it was worth it. It was worth it. So in summary, coaching helped me to see myself, to value myself as a leader. Because yeah, other people can see you a certain way, but if you don't see yourself that way and value yourself, bring yourself to that light and understand that this is what you have, that others are seeing in you, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, it just prepared me. I got toolkits, I got the roadmap, there was that mirror. Yeah, I don't know if this answers the question, but I'm just pouring
Yeah.
myself and sharing you how personal it was for me, and it indeed was more like a retreat,
Mm,
like a retreat for me. Yeah, I was so worthwhile. Yeah.
yeah. No, I love what you're saying, and I really, appreciate like reflecting that back to me as well, because I think,
Mm,
about motivation, or when you talked about motivation earlier, I think about like what makes me
mhm.
continue to like show up as a leader and as a coach. And I think for me,
Okay.
the biggest question is like knowing the impact that it can leave on other people's lives. Like I have conversations with
Mm,
people, like I'm just suggesting something and it's like, okay, this is what I think could be helpful. And months later, they're like, oh, I've actually been doing this. I'm like, oh, okay. That's
mhm.
great that you're taking those steps, you're seeing that it's helpful. And I think for you, the thing that I would also call as a standout, because even for me, I didn't do this like early in my career, is like knowing when you're making that transition, like knowing to ask for help. Because when I, transitioned,
Mm.
it just seemed, it wasn't like all of a sudden, but it just seemed like, oh, okay. I knew that I was a bit like, okay, I'm not really sure, how this is going to go. I had issues with like, okay, how am I going to do? management. Like, that was like my biggest problem, because I'm like, I've not finished up my own career. Like, how do I want to help another person? But
Oh,
then I
yeah,
think
but I'm
luckily,
the
luckily at that time, Paystack actually did pay for us to have like leadership coaches as well. And that was where I knew that like coaching is such an important tool to be able to like have somebody just like coaching is not a place where somebody gives you the answers. It's where somebody like walks you through like what are the scenarios, like what are
Yeah.
some of the things done in the past that we can kind of draw from. And the belief, going through that process is that you have like a lot of things that you've just not like really sat down to think about, to really like be able to value yourself and see yourself really as the, as you said, like as the other people, as other people see you. And then there's that disconnect of like people are looking at you. I can imagine like 600 women like looking at Tokunbo and saying, oh, Tokunbo is like this amazing DevOps engineer, amazing lead, amazing like person all round. And then you're there like sitting in yourself like not confident, like how like you see, imagine that like huge gap of and confidence,
Yeah.
but then being able to sort of like bridge
Mm,
that gap, to ask for help early enough
mm,
as well, to that this is something new. How do I navigate this? I think I always tell all my like clients that it's such a commendable skill, to even just be able to reach out and say, oh, like many people for years will be in the same situation and like they wouldn't actually even
yeah,
like
will be. Yeah,
help, but
yeah.
then being able to do that
Mm,
and then being able to do the work and show up and actually sit with yourself and say,
mm,
okay, this is the conversation that we just had. How can I make this a reality
mm,
for myself? Like, it's such difficult work to start to like close that like gap of
mm,
confidence. But I'm always very proud like when I see people doing the work, because I know that like that's just what it takes to show up and be present and continue to
yeah,
show up for yourself,
yeah.
the way you show up for other people in your life. So
Mm.
I think
Yeah, but if you permit me to please add,
yeah.
permit me to add, please. I also wanted to add something. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh, but I mean, I read a lot.
Mm,
I could have read self-help books and all that. I mean, that's amazing. But the thing is, I believe that having a coach will help you mirror your blind spots, right? To save you time. You eventually get there, but you get there faster.
that's
You
that.
get there
Yeah.
faster. And I'll say, for me, that was what it did for me. It helped me get to where I should be faster. Like, it crunched the time for me, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just wanted to add that.
I love that. I love that. I feel like I have so many questions to go, but I know that we've been here for a while. So I want to kind of like talk about the coding moms a bit. I think obviously you're doing such amazing work with, again, like this is the impact of
Okay.
leadership, like being able to transform lives. Like you said, like people are literally
Mm-hmm.
entrusting their lives and their livelihood. And when you even talk about moms,
Yeah.
that is such like I don't even know, like a replicative effect, because you're not just like saving one person, like you're saving generations of people who maybe would not have
Yeah.
had like tech, or not have had access to, as we said, like the money in tech is, something else. So that's like financial freedom for women and for children and for
Yeah.
families. And so
Yeah.
I really
Yes.
want you to like talk about like what was the idea behind it, like what kind of pushed you, and to even hear that like this was something that you were doing during a career break, where most like it's such a challenging time to be in, to like be away from work, but then to take that time and say, I'm not
Yeah.
just going to be in this period, I'm going to use this period to sort of like bring other people up, and like particularly bring moms up. Honestly, I don't even know the words to just like describe how I'm feeling like thinking about it. So maybe give us an insight to what that is about, like how it came about and all of that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Ibukun. First off, the Cody mom started from, in fact, I was in the Adventure Garden group. I was in the Adventure Garden group. And what had happened was, I was in the middle of a very, in fact, I wasn't even yet a DevOps engineer. I was still working as a front end engineer. And I was in the middle of a crazy deadline. I was in the middle of one very crazy project. I don't want to mention the name of that project. That project gave me plenty PTSD. Plenty PTSD, right? The project manager, how far? Oh my god. Anyway, my and at that time, my daughter was ill. She had a lung infection. I was battling delivering. I was also delivering on that project, and like my part of the project, and I was also battling going to the hospital. hospital visit, taking care of it was crazy, right? It was crazy. One day, I remember I was in one of the meeting rooms in 2030. Remember, and I just broke down, I was just crying. And my line manager at that time, Stephen, such an amazing guy, he just, what is the problem? What exactly is it? And I said, my daughter is ill. I don't know what to do. And we were already, we just started that sprint, but that sprint was supposed to be a 1 week sprint instead of a 2 week sprint. I was just like, I don't think I can deliver this. I have to be at the hospital and all that. And he just said, why? So he just took me to meet our DCTO at that time, currently. And he just said, this is not negotiable at all. This sprint can wait. Go and take care of your daughter, right? And he gave me like a week to. And in fact, on my ride home that day, I was just thinking through it. Like, this is the reason why a lot of women are not doing things like this. This is the reason why a lot of women are not in the technical areas of tech. Like,
Yeah.
most of the time, if I'm not the only woman in the room, or the only mother, the only black one, like I'm tired of always being the only. And sincerely, it's nerve-wracking because you just said that everybody just be looking. Even virtually, you can feel the space. Right. So anyway, I just said this is the reason why, because I can't imagine at that point if I was to choose between continuing as a front-end engineer at that time and focusing on my daughter without thinking about it. I would drop. I'll go to my daughter, right? Without thinking about. And like, this is because there's no enabling environment. A lot of people will not. They'll say, "Oh, are you being lazy? Are you the only?" Different. Anyway, let's not go into that. But I just thought to myself, look, and the idea just came to me. Like, you are fortunate enough to have people that support you, right, in your journey, in your career. Be that person for as many as you can be too, right? I just thought of it. That's true. What if I create an environment where, and initially the thought about it was for women that are, of course, for women, mothers that are into tech and all that, and just need, because a lot of the times it's not as if you need maybe someone to just be with you in the hospital or just be that list, just offer you that, so you can just even cry to, so that you can just rant with. Do you get that? Rant to, rather, that look, this is what I'm going through, I'm tired. Just that support system. Initially, that was what the coding was about. That was it, honestly. And as the months went on, as the years went on, I started telling people about it. I started telling my colleagues about it. Because a lot of the times, I've had people reach out to me, see, you are doing amazing. Come and mentor my wife. Come and mentor my sister. So I'm like, okay. And they come to me, say, come and mentor, let your mother, let your sister join the coding. In fact, I had someone tell me about her mother, and her mother joined the coding.
Wow.
I just joined the coding community, and that's how we started to grow. And we just started with, so what we started with at that time was, it was for stay-at-home moms, introducing how they could start tech careers, just soft landing, introducing them to different areas. Okay, let's start with front end, let's start with even what exactly is this or WW thing. We just little bite-sized knowledge and courses and everything. That was how we started, right? But we fully launched around 2023, when I was in between jobs, and I was like, look, I have the time now. I kind of have some resources. Let's just start this. So we just started full-fledged around there. We did a lot of social media campaigns, pushing out and everything. And it was in fact, I was overwhelmed because a lot of women just started reaching out to me, LinkedIn, on Instagram. Oh, how do I start? I want to be part of this. And so that was when we now added kind of structure to what we were doing. We had different learning tracks, data science, people that were interested in learning front end, web, DevOps, cloud engineering and all that. So that was when we actually started full-fledged, and we're able to branch out into different learning tracks and all that. So at the end of the day, it was just around providing support, knowing that, look, it is difficult in itself. to break
Yeah.
into tech. But breaking into tech as a mom, there's that guilt where you are trying to balance, why am I leaving my child? Because sometimes when I was learning to code, there are a lot of times I wake up, I mean, for the first 6 months when I just had my child, I mean, I was nursing, in the middle of the night, while I'm nursing her, my laptop is in front of me. I was learning how to code in Python. So a lot of times, sometimes I feel guilty that I should focus on nursing this girl.
Yeah.
Why am I trying to? But then the truth of the matter is, I just wanted her to, yeah, I just wanted to model, I wanted her to see me as someone that could provide for her. I wanted her to see me as someone that would be there for her in all length. I didn't want us to be, I just wanted to offer her like a template, a model, like, look, see, I wanted to inspire her. I didn't want her to see me as, oh, my mom is always there. My mom, it's not like there's anything wrong in being a stay-at-home mom, but it was not what I wanted for myself, right? I didn't want to model that to my daughter, right? So I just had to balance, find a way to handle that guilt, right? That look, this is for her at the end of the day. Then again, I also wanted to inspire other women to see that look, it's not you. You just don't have to be. I mean, your whole life and destiny doesn't have to end in the four walls of your marriage or the four walls of your motherhood, right? You can be anything you really want to be, except if you don't want to, right? So the coding month for me is just offering a place where mothers can be supported, where there's that structure, where you see opportunities to grow, where you can be inspired, because our challenges are actually very unique, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're battling with diapers, you're battling with just as what we experience, you're battling with a lot of interruptions and all that, but then you still need to deliver, because then again, there's no, what's that word? It's not as if the standard is lower for us as mothers. No, actually, if
It's
there's anything like that, the standard is actually higher, because then again, there's no pity. You are managing life, you are learning new skills, you are building your career, and then you are trying to manage your family too, right? So for me, it's just that access, that support, that belief that look, it is worthwhile to invest in a mother in tech. It's
yeah.
worthwhile. It's worthwhile. You're investing in someone that is deeply motivated to succeed. That's what I
Mm,
believe in, right? So for me, that's what the coding moment embodies, right? And that was what just inspired me to start that movement. Right now, we are pivoting into something else. We are pivoting to a full-fledged academy by God's grace, and it's just being more, right? Not shrinking back, just doing more. I see that there's a space or there's opportunity for us to feel. Why not? Let's go ahead and fill that space, you know.
yeah.
So that's it.
Wow. Honestly, you said such a powerful statement of like, it is worthwhile to invest in a mother in tech. Like, it's someone who is like
Yeah,
there, kind of show up against all the things
yeah.
that,
Deeply
are,
motivated. Yes, against everything. Despite
yeah,
all, regardless of this and that, she'll still show up,
yeah.
right? She'll still show up.
I love that. And I think one thing that also stood out to me in the story is you saying that like your leaders at the time were able to support you to make that decision to go and be with your daughter in the hospital. And I think it's so again, this comes back to leadership of like being able to be compassionate. Like, you don't know, like, imagine if that was, you had a leader who,
Yes, yes, yes.
like, what that would have done to your career. But instead, that again, like, that's the reputation
Mm, actually,
of leadership, of now you being able to take care of your daughter, continue, and then like build this community that has like
yeah.
600. One thing I
Mm-hmm,
love Kaya, he was my
mm-hmm.
manager at some point as well. Like, he's such an amazing manager for sure. But
Mm,
like,
he's
again, that's the part
amazing. He's an amazing
that
person.
I hold as leaders to really be able to like make the way for people.
Yeah,
And what you're doing for sure, I think, is just
exactly.
amazing.
Empathy. A strong point, a strong aspect of leadership is being empathic, having that empathy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the I see, also what you talked about earlier when you talked about like your mindset, motivation, and your methodology, because having that strong motivation of like,
Yeah.
this is what I want to be for my child, this is what I want to mirror for my child. Like I can
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah. Yeah.
battling with
Yeah.
code and like battling with infrastructure, but then knowing that at the back of your mind strongly that like
Mm-hmm.
it goes beyond this. Like this is me showing up not just for
Yes.
myself, but for like my child and all the other,
Mm.
generations come after me.
Yes.
So that is
Yes.
such
Mm.
a strong motivation. And I think I wanted to ask like a few other questions, but I feel like that is just like a perfect way to, just like wrap up everything that we've talked about today of like really like the thing that I am taking away from this is to continue to like investigate and continue to interact with like what my motivations are, especially when things get like really hard. And I was gonna say, oh, like, what would you say to people who want to like go into leadership, blah, 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 blah. But again, it's one on one, like it's your own thing. What is the
Mm.
motivation? You've heard us talk about like impact. You've heard of us talk about like freedom, flexibility. You've heard us talk about being
Yeah.
a multi effect for so many people. Like there's so many reasons to be
Yeah.
able to say that I want to
Mm-hmm.
take on that leadership role. But then it's like, what is the thing that resonates with you the most?
Mm-hmm.
What is the thing most personal to you that you can kind of like just like take and run with, because it's going to be a difficult journey. In fact, like I always say, I think I did a pros and cons of IC versus I was like, when I was at IC, I type my code does not run, I'll go to Stack Overflow, I'll go to Google.
As it.
That but like when you're working with people, there's so much that you have to do with. There's so much variation. It's such a like a delicate space to
Yeah.
navigate because you're dealing with somebody else's life, like somebody else's career and livelihood, somebody else's like
Yeah.
family. Like, so
Yes.
many, things
Yes.
that are implied just by being
Mm.
someone who is responsible for another person. And so there's so many amazing reasons, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
to go into leadership. And I always encourage people to do that. And one, I'm glad that like our
Mm.
paths have crossed, and like you've been able to share your story. But I'm
Yeah.
glad that
Yeah.
like that like such a vulnerable moment in your life of like
Mm.
dealing with your daughter, dealing with like deadlines, and seeing that as a time to
Mm-hmm.
really multiply and a time to really just like grow the impact. And I can imagine like my mom like joining coding
Yeah.
was that she wants to code. Like that's such thing, because I know,
Mhm.
the flexibility and the access that being in tech, gives us as mothers and gives us as just like
Mm.
people working in the industry.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
one,
Yes.
I'm thanking you on behalf of all the people who have, definitely like
Mm-hmm.
joined the community and benefited from the community. But I'm also grateful that
Mm.
you've also shared, that knowledge and your journey and your story with everyone today. So thank you so much, Tokunbo. I'll allow
Thank
you
you.
to, your last words,
Thank you.
we close out the podcast.
Hmm. My closing out words is actually to thank you. To actually thank you. Honestly, it's not even beyond. So the thing with having you as a coach, it's not just about, yes, I have a coach. I have, because the truth is, to be honest, it's a big flex to have Ibukun as a coach, because you're like, Ibukun coach, oh, Ibukun, oh, why is that? It's a big flex, honestly. Don't be humble. It's a big flex. But beyond, to be but to be honest, it's I think it's in who you are, how empathic you are, and how much you really truly want people to succeed. You showed me something very, very strategic, and it's not even how you. I think it's in how you lead, and it's one thing that I learned from you. I'm still learning from you, right? Is how it's I think the best way to put it is not, you showed me that leadership is not about, it's actually making your team shine. It's not
Mm,
outshining. Like you don't outshine your team. Oh, I lead this team. This is what we've been able to do. But it's actually putting the spotlight on your team, making your team shine, right?
yeah.
Because I say that because even in our relationship, right, a lot of the things I learned, because I mean, by the time I received my, which I shared with you, my first quarter, second quarter, I mean, my one-on-one like report from my line manager, CTO, and everything. In fact, I was close to tears. I was like, how did I get here? It was just so rewarding. It was difficult, getting to that point. But at the end of the day, the rewards was just amazing. And it was because of how you helped me show up as a leader, helping me to change my mindset, being better and all that. So I will say, in all honesty, right, and to everybody that we privileged to listen to this podcast, at the end of the day, you can't do life alone. You can't show up and get to that level on your own as an engineering leader. To be honest, in my point of view, right, I may be wrong, but I beg to, if I think I'm not wrong, to be honest, you need a coach. You need someone that will mirror your blind spots, mirror your strengths, and help you. And having the right coach also goes a long way, right? So I'll say thank you to you, Ibukun, for helping me grow, right? To show me, kind of to reintroduce myself to me, to show me what I already had that I wasn't seeing. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. So I don't know if you want to share this on the podcast, but actually, this is how I really wanted to end the podcast. To really say a big thank you to you for how you helped me to navigate leadership, how you helped me to grow, and just putting the spotlight on me. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ibukun.
I appreciate that for sure. Thank you so much again, Tokunbo, for your time. And to everyone who's listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
again, the idea behind this is to share people's journeys, share my journey so that you can learn as well. So definitely looking forward to your comments,
Mm-hmm.
questions. You can email at hello@comtech with us, and make sure
Mm-hmm.
you're following all of our socials. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode and today's journey. And see you next time. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.